Okay, so welcome back. This is a walkthrough for assignment number 4, and let's see what this is about. Assignment 4 is one of my favorite assignments and an interesting assignment. And the idea is that you have to create a class called BigNum, and as the name implies, this class should be able to hold very large integers. For example, an integer can only be around 10 digit wide. Similarly, if you want to save even larger numbers, let's say 250 digit, 300 digit, 400 digit numbers. So for that, this is the class that you need to implement. So the idea is that you have to separate each digit and store each digit as a separate character. So we will come to that in a while. So we'll be providing you with the .h file, header file. So no need to worry about that. So you just need to implement all of the functions which are included in the header file and submit bignum.cpp only according to the submission instructions. So let's look at bignum.h, which you need to implement. Alright, so this is the file you need to implement. So you will have a dynamic array, a pointer, char star, which is in fact a dynamic array of characters. And obviously, since we have a dynamic array, so we also have a size for that dynamic array. And here are the functions. The functions have comments which are self-explanatory. So, for example, we'll have a constructor which will by default create a 10 array of characters of 10 digits and initialize each character with the character 0, whose ASCII is 48. So we're not talking about the null character whose ASCII is 0. So this is not the number 0, this is the character 0 whose ASCII is 48 actually. But you need to store this, the character 0. So that's what you want to do in the what you need to do in the default constructor. Similarly, we have a destructor in which we delete the dynamic array, and for that we also have a clear function as the command suggests, and the clear function is private. Private means you cannot call the clear function from the client code. So you'll be deleting the dynamic array here. Since clear will be used otherwise also in other functions also, other methods, that's why it has been separated into a function. Otherwise, you might have written the dynamic deallocation code inside the destructor directly. But we have made a function called clear. So you just need to call clear inside this destructor. Next is the parameters constructor, which will take a string. A string can be as long as you want. Similarly, you'll separate each character and store it in the corresponding array element of the dynamic array. So a hint is you have to find the size of the string first, the length of the string first, and then create this array order according to the length of the string. So that's what you need to do. Next is int num is an argument, a parameters constructor which takes an integer. So this would be a small number. The size won't be more than 10, of course, since 4 billion is the largest number. You can store an integer. So, but still, if an integer is, let's say, 3 digits, so you just need to create an array of size 3. So again, you have to find out the length of this number. So this is an extra task that you need to do. Or this is what actually you need to do, but to make but there can be other way arounds as well. For example, you can, as you know, an integer cannot be more than 10 digits. So you can by default set 10 digits for it and just initialize this array accordingly. For example, if it's a 3-digit number, you can still have a 10-digit 10 character array and just initialize or set those three characters in the rightmost elements. Anyways, so next is the copy constructor. So we have discussed how we define copy constructors for where we need to deal with dynamic memory allocation. So look at the nodes, look at the array class for this. There won't be any much change in this. Similarly, the order assignment operator. So again, take help from the lecture notes, the code posted for the array class. There won't be much of a difference. Then we have an input function. The input function would basically, since the array will the dynamic array is already created, and before this actually input is done through the console, we need to delete that dynamic array. So we need to call the clear method first, and then take the input, and then create the dynamic array, and then copy that. So in fact, you will take input as a string, and then convert that string into this character array. Similarly, print is simple. You just need to print the array, but you don't need to print the leading zeros. For example, if the number is 00001, 0000123, so you will ignore the leading zeros and you just print 1 to 3. Alright, the next function is input from file. So the name implies you have to input the number from the file. The number is written inside the file. And we have posted 3 different files. For example, the simple case 5-digit number, input5.txt. This is the file name. Input20.txt, 20-digit number. Input 100.txt, a 100-digit number. These are the sample files which will contain just one number. And you'll have to input the number from the file. So again, you have to call clear to delete the previous array, and then you'll basically the new array would be created having the size of the string which is inside the file. The next function is print to file. Alright, so this will simply print the character array to the file. Again, leading zeros will be ignored. Next function is 005. 05 initializes the number to a 10-digit 0. That's what we're going to do in the default constructor. So you can just call 05 in the default constructor. But but make sure that there is no problem of diagonal pointers, and just confirm that the array is not deleted. So whether the same function will be used in default constructor or not. Similarly, increment will increment the number by 1. So whatever the current number is, you just have to add 1. You have to implement the carry logic. For example, if the digits were 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 9. Again, this is a very simple example. I have 4 digits. For example, it was a 100-digit number, let's say here, and this was, let's say, 9. So now if you increment this, so you'll go to the least significant digit, which is 9. So you'll add 1, this will become 0, and this carry will go to the next digit. Again, we'll check this, you'll add this, it will become 10, 9 plus 1 is 10. Again, so this will become 0, and there will be a carry on the other side, so this will become this number. So this is what logic you need to implement in increment. Similarly, in decrement, you have to implement the logic of borrow. Alright, so similarly for the decrement, we have to implement the logic of carry. So in order to decrement this, if this is, let's say, if this digit is 0, then you have to
perform a carry operation. So you'll look at the next digit. Again, if the next digit is previous digit is also 0, then you'll have to go on till you find a non-zero digit. So you have to implement the carry logic in this function, decrement. Okay. Less than. So this will just check that whether two numbers, two big nums, whether this or this big num, let's say we have a dot less than b. So this is the function call which would be in the driver file. So this is Boolean, a Boolean function will return Boolean. So this is what the driver file might look like. Less than means a dot less than. So a is that a will be calling this member function. So this means that you'll check the contents of a, which is this current objects attribute, the array, and whether if this is less than the argument, then you'll return true, otherwise you'll return false. So again, for this, let's say you have two numbers. A simple idea would be to check the lengths first, sizes, lengths, or by the way, if you want, you can add any private. In fact, no, I think we haven't allowed. If you feel like, you may change the definition. In fact, no. So actually there will be two things. One would be the size, which is the size of the array. The other thing is the length. So since you don't have this attribute now, so I'll just add the length attribute and I'll repost it in the assignment. So length would basically mean the, in fact, no. Apologies for this. Just ignore what I've said in the last 30 seconds. The size is actually the size of the array, so you'll have to ignore the leading zeros, because the array, if the array has leading zeros, then in that case you'll just have to ignore that. But generally, whatever number we are creating having the size as the number of digits in that number. For example, this string has, let's say, 9 digits, so we'll create the size would be 9. So size is pretty much the same as the length, and which means the number of digits, so don't need to worry about that. So think of the logic of finding whether a number is less than or greater than. If the size of the second number is less, so then obviously this will be false, or vice versa. If the length of the first, if the size of the first big num is less than the size, then obviously this is true. But this is just a corner case. The actual case would be, you have to check whether the two numbers are actually less, or like you have to compare them as you compare strings. So go on and check these numbers, and I won't be giving a hint here. There are two ways: either you go from right to left or go from left to right. Just think in daily life, how do you compare numbers? For example, if two numbers out of the same number of digits have the same number of digits, then how do you actually do this in daily life? Do you start from left to right, or you go from right to left? Just think about this. Similarly, let's say if you, I'm again just discussing various options. Let's say if this the sizes are different. So what would be in that case? So again, just to discuss, a simple approach would be to check the size. Alright, so other functions are also